Welcome to TN Inspire at TLCC 2016.
So the picture you see here is a picture of me wearing a sweater that I designed and knit. And I don't mind being proud of that. And if I was going to ask you to describe this sweater, you might say this is a gray men's zippered cardigan with a red stripe, probably about a small. It's a medium, but we'll say it's a small. And that's correct. If I said to you, where does this sweater begin? That's a weird question. It doesn't make sense right away. A sweater is an article of clothing. It's something you wear. It doesn't have a start or a finish, unless we think about how it was knit, how it was designed, in which case the sweater begins at the neck, where we cast on the stitches, we knit down through the chest and the shoulders, at which point we separate the stitches for the arms, then we finish the rest of the body, we knit the hem, we fold the hem under. Actually, the folding hem under comes later. Then you pick up the stitches for the left arm, knit the left sleeve, bind off at the cuff, pick up the stitches for the right sleeve, knit down to the right cuff, bind off there, pick up the stitches for the collar, knit the stitches for the collar, bind off there again. Then you fold over the hem, sew that, sew this. Drop in the zipper, sew in the zipper, bada boom, bada bing, your sweater is done, right? Okay. Now the interesting thing is a website is exactly the same thing. A website is not a three-dimensional object like an article of clothing, but it is a multifaceted, multidimensional thing that people come at from different directions and see from different sides. And like the sweater and the sweater pattern, it is also composed of a number of linear sequences that are arranged with a very similar kind of logic. Now, when I realized this, it helped me understand two things. One is it helped me understand why both knitting and coding scratch the same mental itch. And, right? If you're a coder, you understand what I'm talking about. If you're a knitter, you really understand what I'm talking about. Right. So the other thing it helped me understand is, why am I such a control freak? Because what I realized is I want as much control over the hand-knit items that I produce. I want to be able to influence them as much as I can. And you can't control these things. This is a picture, the model in this picture is my 7-year-old daughter, speaking of things that you cannot control, okay? So, but it is through the linear processes that I try to exert that control, by understanding all of the variables, by getting a grip on all of the linear sequential things that come together to produce these non-sequential, three-dimensional things. I feel that I can influence the ultimate outcome of these things, which is, of course, completely false. We can't control these things once they're out in the world. With a website, we have Google Analytics, and we can look at behavior and where people click and how they leave, but we don't really understand what's going on perceptually in their minds. We don't have that. And with hand-knit items, we don't really know, or I don't know, what happens to the hand-knit items I give to people. They might be in closets getting eaten by moths. So this is homebrew, which I also make, and this is a very similar thing, a linear process that produces a substance that is not only hard to control. Once you consume it, you are out of control. And this is sourdough bread, wild yeast. Once you get that wild yeast into your recipe, into your kitchen, you have surrendered control. Wild yeast does not behave like store-bought yeast. You try to get a hold of the temperature and the variables, but at a certain point, the bread's going to do what it's going to do. And this is really how this thing ought to be. The things that we produce with our creativity need to retain that kind of wildness. They need to be out of our control. And that point where the sequential processes meet the moment that it's released into the world and it is not in control anymore, that's for me where the creativity and the volatility really, really is. And the way I get into that is by asking that question that I asked at the very beginning. Where does it begin? Because that is the gate, that is the door that opens up the mystery to creativity and to the wildness that is in all the things that we create. Thank you very much.